Hello, and welcome to another wonderful opportunity to share a stage dive. Now, I haven't done these in a while because the world went into chaos mode and we kind of had to focus on the more important things. But things are settling in. We're used to this new chaotic world that we find ourselves in, and I decided, what's a perfect opportunity for me to create another stage dive for you. So let's jump into it. Have you ever found yourself in an event where there's an attempt at a hologram or a AR experience or even a robot bartender, but you ultimately can't remember anything from that experience? Yeah, it's something that even I have experienced. We had a robot bartender in Singapore, and it was so amazing because it didn't work. And ultimately, it was switched off. And as event creators, we often find ourselves falling for this trap. We start to chase the impressive. We start to chase the new. We chase the this has never been done before. But our audience isn't asking, is this cutting edge? They're asking, how does this matter to me? And tech gimmicks don't change behavior. And if your event doesn't change behavior, then it's just expensive entertainment. So let's take a lesson from tech failures. There is a massive graveyard of tech that was full of brilliant ideas that no one actually needed. And why is it? Because they ultimately end up solving a problem that doesn't matter. As an example, the Google Glass. On paper, it's quite revolutionary. Augmented reality, hands-free information, the future in your face. But in reality, people kind of feel awkward wearing it. Privacy concerns exploded, and nobody could clearly answer who actually needs this. It solved a technical possibility, but not a human problem. And just because you can layer digital experiences onto reality, it doesn't really mean that your audience wants it. If your audience feels uncomfortable, self-conscious, confused, you've already lost them. And then there is the Amazon Fire Phone. It had 3D effects, a dynamic perspective, fancy tracking system. Technically, it's very impressive. But the problem is it didn't make life easier compared to an iPhone or an Android. There was no real advantage, no real shift in behavior. So people ignored it. A flashy app, fancy interface, smart badge, whatever it is, it means nothing if it doesn't help someone to decide faster, learn better, or act sooner. If your tech doesn't create a clear, better outcome, it's ultimately just noise. And at events, we kind of do the same thing. We solve like service level engagement, just trying to connect, just getting people to answer questions instead of real human connections. And your audience has 3 levels of problems. They have internal problems, that things that they're feeling, the confusion, the fear, the ambition, the pressure. They have external problems, the things that they're actively dealing with, the problems that they need to solve in the moment. And then they have their philosophical problems, the things that they ultimately believe, the better world that they want to create, there must be a better way. And if your event ends up only dealing with external problems, yeah, you'll most probably get attention. People might be excited about this gimmick, but it needs to speak to all 3. It kind of needs to address that internal thing, that external problem, but also the philosophical thing that ends up mattering to all of us. So let's be honest for a second. A touchscreen doesn't solve any sort of insecure behavior from an audience member. A VR headset doesn't in itself fix any lack of clarity. An AI chatbot doesn't give someone courage, but we keep pretending that these things do. We confuse interaction with the impact that our brands ultimately want to create. And just because someone tapped, scanned, swiped, whatever the case may be, it doesn't mean that they have changed as a human being. And change is what our businesses ultimately require from our events. So what should we be doing? What is the answer? What is the thing that we need to aim for? And I always believe we need to start by asking questions. What needs to be different in a person's life after they attended your event? Not during, after. What's the change that we want to see? And then we need to build backwards. We need to use tech as a tool, not the headline to your events. If it helps someone to see themselves differently, then use it. If it allows them to change, use it. If it allows someone to make a decision, then use it. If it allows someone to take action faster, then use it. If it's just cool, then you kind of need to cut it and stay away, because cool doesn't convert. Cool doesn't create any sort of behavior that ends up creating change. Now, the best events aren't remembered for what people saw. They're remembered for what people feel and what they did afterwards, how they changed. That's the bar that we need to aim for. Not flash, not bamboozlement, not illusions, but clear change. So the next time you're pitched some sort of tech, or you want to incorporate some sort of tech, don't ask, how do we use this? Ask, what problem does this actually solve for my audience, for a human being? And what will allow them to take a step forward so that they can go out and really create the change our brands expect from this. Because real magic, it's not where tech meets creativity. It's ultimately where meaning really meets action. So go out, look at the tech, understand the tech that you're getting. Don't use it as a gimmick. Don't be the Google Glass or the Fire Phone, but say, how can I use this thing to elevate the human beings, and is it needed to elevate the human beings? Because ultimately, we're all just human, and we want to connect with each other, and we want to move forward as a collective. So go out, create change, and I'll see you in the next stage dive. Bye.